I was thinking about this, and like pushing people to like pursue their authenticity or like align themselves with their inner truth is kind of problematic, because that's only helpful if someone has done the inner work first. Because for the most part, or not for the most part, but like a lot of people, either they don't know who they are authentically, they kind of just like pull from an amalgamation of things that are like projected onto them or what they think they should want and stuff like that. And it takes a lot of like brutal honesty with the self to be able to distinguish what is like a superficial aspect of yourself and your desires, and that can like be really easy to mistake for your true desires. Okay, and like usually it's easier, and not like easier, but it can be easier for you to find your authentic self and your inner truth after something like bad happens to you, like an ego death. And then you have to like examine who you actually are when something really important is taken from you. So like, but that's not like, that doesn't mean you can't find who you truly are without any like significant loss or trauma. I just think that a lot of the collective that awokened or whatever, or um like started doing like shadow work, truly like the hard stuff, like the stuff that leaves you like crying in the bathroom, stuff like that. um that was like a really like trial by fire way for us to go about it, to help us like lead other people who may not necessarily need to go through such harsh things. I mean, everybody's going through stuff, but I think that like just touting that like, oh, if you just lean into your authenticity, then like you're in alignment with yourself. But that's like, because you have to think that, I don't know, I know this is kind of like an extreme example, but like like serial, like like a Jeffrey Dahmer type or whatever, which he isn't the best example because he knew what he was doing was wrong, that's why he had to like drink so much. But somebody who like technically their authentic self is like compelling them to do really like nefarious and harmful things, that they like, so then obviously, but if they do those terrible things, then they would be living in their true alignment with themselves. So that's why it's like a problematic thing. And so it's not as simple as that. I think it's more helpful to say like, oh, as long as you are like harming nobody and not harming yourself, then it's okay to just like technically do whatever you want. And then obviously, if you are able to sort of like peel the layers away from the outside or something in order to actually find out or develop authenticity, because sometimes, I mean, to be honest, like all of us are just like one, if you want to get to the thing of like we're iterations of like a source consciousness, like experiencing itself in like infinite variety or whatever. So technically we are like, we don't really like have an identity because we are everything at the same time. So it's kind of just like, I don't know, you have to sort of like erase everything other than sort of like the vibration of your soul, which that can take work to do. I think that's why a lot of like practices encourage meditation and stuff like that regularly, because you do sort of like start to learn what like the echo of your spirit is actually trying to tell you. And you can kind of tell the difference between if you like your goals and aspirations are things that you've kind of picked up from other people, because when you think about fulfilling those things or like going down a path to do those things, you may get like a stomach flip that feels like the drop on a roller coaster, and it's not supposed to feel that way. That's not like excitement. If it's really for you, like usually you will feel like a lightness or like a quickening in your heart, like ooh, that kind of feeling, not like a oh, like oh shit, like in your gut type of feeling. Say if you like, oh, your life goal is to like have micro bangs. Okay, but so you could tell if you actually it's authentic for you to want those micro bangs, because you will get that like ooh, like excitement in your heart, and then maybe you'll get like a dread feeling due to like how you think that people will react. But if you're only feeling that bad feeling in relation to how you think people will react, but for the most part you're excited about it, then obviously it's more authentic for you to go and do that. If you feel more like fear and like trepidation about like having the microbangs themselves or whatever, then obviously you may have just been like influenced and it's not for you, and that's fine. Because I don't think that like, so I guess technically like living authentically will help you lead you down the path that is truly meant for you, obviously. But I guess like technically there are plenty of people who are living fulfilling lives who aren't like living in their authentic truth, so it's not like you technically, like I said, um really, as long as you're not like harming yourself or other people, you know you kind of can just like do whatever you want. Like, you don't even have to be authentic. Okay, you really don't. um I don't know. And this is a random thing coming through, is that like for the most part, and I'm not like really like religious, but I was like raised Catholic, so I hear a lot, I just like remember a lot of stuff. But I think there's that concept of like God or whatever, like the higher power, would be more interested in like having their hands over the lives of like sinners or whatever, because obviously that's a more interesting project. And like if somebody's already like pristine and perfect and doesn't need any help, then why would that higher power be so present in their lives? You know what I mean? Because they like don't really need them. You know what I mean? So obviously it's like, I don't know why that message was coming through, but maybe that applies to somebody. Yeah, but I guess the whole point of this is like the collective, or just the energy at this time, was like veering too far into the realm of like, oh, well, what's the right thing for me to do? Like, there's something of like, um, I don't know why I was just hearing moral relativism, okay? But like, if it's to the point where like you are in so much despair about what the right thing to do is, that you just like are feeling gridlocked or stuck, or you're unable to even like trust things that are really great that come into your life, because you're like, should I even want this? I shouldn't even want this thing, so this is terrible, and this, it's supposed to be something like really great. So it could be like something that has come into your life that's authentic to you, but you could be afraid to admit that that's authentic to you, to the people around you, until you're like blocking a blessing. I will just say this, like, if it is something to where like you feel like you deeply, deeply desire something that has essentially presented itself to you, but you are afraid to go after it because you care so much about what people are going to say or what they will think, I will tell you that maybe you would have like a week of discomfort in regards to this thing, and then, the rest of your life to be excited about it, because once it's like fully formed and stuff like that, you won't really like give a shit what anybody's thinking or saying about it, because they won't even be in your perception, because you'll be too busy enjoying whatever the thing is that you decided to allow into your life. So I am getting that this could apply, like, I don't know, this could apply to like an interracial relationship type of thing. Like if you like met your person, but they are like outside the bounds of what like your family or your community or whatever think is like conventional, or like who you should end up with, but that's like literally your dream person, and you're like, oh, I need to turn down this person who is like the actual love of my life because I care too much about like what people are going to say when they find out that this is my person, then you are doing yourself like a disservice and an injustice long term. And that's one of those things that we're like, not to like project this onto you, but like, if that's one of those things that like people age and they hit their 80s, and then they're like, yeah, I had a great life, but there was that one person that like I know I could have had like such an incredible life with, and I wronged them, and I always think about that. Like, not to say that you're gonna like be miserable forever if you reject this thing, but it's going to be one of those like um stains in the scrapbook of your life of like, you know um what could have been if I had just like lived in alignment with my truth, instead of like allowing everyone else around me to sort of like even energetically dictate what I'm supposed to allow to be a part of my happiness. And it doesn't have to be like a interracial relationship thing. It could apply to anything, like wanting to take an unconventional career in a family of like doctors, which I know is like equally as like, sometimes even like worse. I don't know. But yeah, so ultimately it's always a choice. Usually if you do the authentic route, it may be a little like turbulent at first, for a short period of time, but the universe will show you that that's what you're meant to do, and that's in alignment. And it's always like the lifetime of joy is like the reward for the discomfort initially, usually.